Terry, how are you going to use Abreu there?
Well, we're going to give him some playing time only because, again, he fits the same mold as those other guys that you want to use as quality pinch hitters, but in order to stay sharp, he's got to get some at-bats. So I'm going to try to pick some days to get him in the outfield.
Just with the righty-lefty stuff, with sending Brown down, can you just explain the decision there and how it affects your roster and your maneuvering late game off the bench?
Well, you know, Bobby's certainly brings that quality major league bat that the other managers got to say, I don't want him up there. You know, he's been certainly an outstanding hitter in his career, and so we wanted to get him up here. And right now we looked at a situation where, you know, we needed to keep up another infielder. That's where Satin comes in because he can play third. Something should happen, or I want to get David out of the game or something. He gives us a third baseman. And we also wanted to make sure we protect ourselves in center field. So that's where Neuenhuis came. So I told Bronny, you know, it'd be good for him to go get some playing time, get some at-bats, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we don't see him soon.
And Terry, without Brown on the roster and the fact that Recker can hit it out of the park every now and then, will you be any more tempted to use Recker to pinch hit late in a game rather than protect him?
Oh, no question. I think you've got to use obviously Rex's ability to do some damage, make a difference late in the game against left-handed pitchers. So, you know, we'll have to pick and choose our situations, but certainly I'm going to use it.
Now, I know Brown caught a little bit in college. Is there anybody else on the roster who's got enough of a background that you wouldn't feel like you were have to hold your breath if you needed to catch it?
We don't have anybody necessarily that we would have tremendous confidence in. You know, even though Brownie is caught a little bit, when he goes back during a big league game, there's going to be some issues. But right now, we've got a couple guys in mind that have caught years ago. If the worst case scenario happens.
Terry, getting back to Bobby Abreu, what is it that Hudge saw in him that thought it might be a good fit here for him?
Well, Dave Hudgens had him all winter. Said he's had just one quality bat after another, and he's done the same thing in Vegas. I talked to Wally the other day, and Wally said he just seems like he squares up every ball he swings at. And he's another guy that certainly fits the mold of the approach that we like to have here. A guy who's willing to, work the count, get a good ball to hit. And again, I saw him in spring training, some films of him in spring training, and he hit lefties as well as he hit righties. So he could be a dangerous bat for us.
Yeah, Mike.
Terry, with Farnbrook now as the closer, do you have an eighth inning guy, or what is the plan for the eighth and seventh inning?
Like I have right now, I couldn't tell you. We don't. Tonight, maybe Torres tonight in the eighth inning. I don't know, but it all starts with your starting pitcher. If he gets you deep in the game, you can mix and match to certainly bridge that gap.
Tim?
Speaking of starting pitcher, how's Mejia doing? How's his finger?
His finger's fine. His finger's well healed, which it always seems to happen. Trainers do a great job of fixing blisters. So, we'll just see how he goes tonight. But right now, he has no problems.
Won't be limited.
I'm sorry?
He won't be limited at all?
Hopefully not.
Yeah, Gary?
Did you not have Familia yesterday?
No, he was our last guy, Gary. We were going to use Valverde one more inning because we really had thought that inning that gets over before he gets up, I didn't want to use Familia and have to have him hit. So Valverde had one more inning, and then we were going to, however long we had after that, it was Familia's game.
So I assume if Henry is not right for any reason, he'd be your guy.
He'd be the first guy, yeah.
For at least the short term, will you look to find spots for Matsuzaka where he can stay relatively stretched out in case you need that depth?
Well, again, the answer to that in a perfect world, you'd like to, but in the National League, it's very hard to do because he's going to hit. Not that Daisuke can't handle it back because he can, but there's going to be situations most of the time in the National League when you have a long pitcher. If he gives you 2 innings, that's a long stretch. If he gives you 3, it's because you're getting mowed down most of the time. So, but I certainly, you want to keep him lengthened as best you can. But as well as he pitched yesterday, we got to give him a couple days to catch his breath, and then, for all I know, he could be that 8th inning guy down the road.
Yeah, Matt?
Where have you seen the biggest growth in records gained from where he was last year to how he's played, early on in the season?
Well, again, I think it's a comfort level. Rex a big, strong guy. Again, one of the things he does, he's dangerous because he's got the power to hit a homer. The thing where he's improved the most, I think, is in his throwing. His throwing is outstanding, just outstanding. He's worked very, very hard on it, pretty much all last year, but he got it. And he and Bob made some changes in spring training, and he has caught on, and he's throwing great.
Yeah, Mike?
Terry, you've done some things the last few days, made a decision on first base, made some outfield moves. You look at shortstop, how frustrating is it right now that you don't have any real options? You have to stick with Ruben right now.
Well, I don't feel upset about sticking with Ruben.
Okay.
Mike, again, he said he's put some good at-bats on. He had a good at-bat yesterday again. So, again, I go on the track record that this guy we know has done it. Would you like to do better? Well, we'd like everybody to be better. But, again, right now he's the guy, and we've got to continue to try to get him to improve. We've got to get him to, be that same offensive player. The one thing I see right now that he's not doing, when he gets in trouble, his swing gets a little big. But that's why I say when it comes crunch time, he's got 2 strikes on him. He shortens it up and he puts the ball in play. When you put the ball in play, you got a chance to get a hit. So I thought lately his at-bat's been much better.
Yeah, Josh?
Organizationally and functionally, Terry, we know what the St. Louis Cardinals are, but when you scout them specifically for what you see this year, what's your overall take on what they do?
Well, they've done a great job. I tell you, when you look at their club, obviously they've got some very, very good players that they, signed and raised on their own. But they've gone out and done a nice job of adding some help. The one thing they do sign, the likes of Descalso and those kind of guys, they're baseball players. They play all over. They handle a bat. There's not one thing that really sticks out. They all just are good, solid players. I mean, the catcher's the best in the game, calling the game, handling, blocking balls. Cuts down the running game. They've done a nice job with the development of their young pitchers. This kid tonight, nobody's seen him, but the reports are he's solid. He throws strikes, throws all his pitches for strikes. He's like a lot of young guys. Hopefully, he gets a little amped up and makes some mistakes, but they've done a good job. And as we think, we got some good young pitching coming. They were kind of in a situation. Hey, they were forced to bring those guys up, and they did it.
Right. Any last ones, guys, ladies?